Sure, you know Alexander Hamilton. But do you know Benjamin Harrison?
Oh, Benjamin Harrison, he's far beyond comparison. He'll keep our land a garrison of life.
Sorry, that's a bit of a jarring shift. But it just goes to show that before someone can perfect an idea, someone else has to try it out first. In fact, the 1728 production of The Beggar's Opera is widely considered to be the first politically based musical in Western theater. Not to worry, we're not going that far back today. But 47 years before a certain founding father without a father would drive the biggest musical of all time, Disney tried it first. Sort of. This often overlooked Sherman Brothers gem features songs that get stuck in your head, songs that make you fall in love, and the youngest Kurt Russell that you have ever seen. Look at this little guy. Look, if you know, you already know. But if you don't, let me introduce you to the one and only, genuine, original family band.
You booped when you should have umpired.
I'm sorry, Grandpa.
Before there was Disneyana, there was Americana. And few Disney productions are more Americana than this film. Originally planned as a two-part television series, the project was based on the book The Family Band by Laura Bower Van Nuys. This book is actually available to read for free online through the Internet Archive, and I will throw a link in the description below. Laura was the youngest of the Bower children, and her book tells the real-life story of her family's brass band, their journey from Lodi, Wisconsin, which is not far from where I grew up actually, and their frontier life in the Black Hills of South Dakota. But Walt Disney felt the straight biographical adaptation was too flat, and he asked the Sherman Brothers to write a title song. That song would become the one and only genuine original family band. Upon hearing it, Walt decided to expand the project into a full-fledged musical feature, rather than just a TV program.
We took Lowell Hawley's script and worked with Lowell on how we can work songs into it. So we'd sometimes remove dialogue scenes and make them happen musically, or we'd expand something. And before long, we had a musical.
The final film doesn't exactly borrow heavily from Van Nuys' memoirs, which is kind of a shame. In the book, the family contends with brutal winters, intense windstorms, and the isolation of prairie life. One memorable story recounts their sod house nearly being buried in a blizzard, requiring constant shoveling to keep the doorway clear. Despite these hardships, the Bowers found joy through music and community, embodying the spirit of frontier resilience. The movie stars Walter Brennan, Buddy Ebsen, Leslie Ann Warren, and John Davidson. The best casting for this film, however, was bringing a Hollywood power couple together for the very first time, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. At the time of filming, she was 21 years old, and he was just 16. Hawn later recalled that while she found him adorable, obviously, she considered him too young for a romantic relationship at that time.
Little sideline to that was Goldie met Kurt Russell at that time, but he was a little younger than she, so it was just a friendly thing. They liked each other, you know, and of course years later they became a very wonderful couple together.
Family Band was Goldie Hawn's first ever film, although she had already established her acting career in the television series Good Morning World. And despite his youthful appearance, this was not Russell's first film. In fact, it wasn't even his first Disney film. He had already appeared in the 1966 film Follow Me Boys with Fred MacMurray, and even before that had a fairly extensive list of television credits dating back to the early 1960s. He would go on to star in over a dozen Disney films, including The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, The Fox and the Hound, and Sky High.
Kurt Russell played my younger brother, and he'd already been in a bunch of Disney movies. a terrific actor, very natural, you know, very real.
His newspaper. Found out he's a Republican.
He hated the dancing. So it was really a labored experience for him, you know, and he and John Davidson would, you know, grouse about all the dance numbers and all the work they had to do.
But we said, but you're an actor, so you're gonna act like you can sing and dance, and you'll do it. And he did, of course, and he's great.
And the melody rolls around.
Presto change-o!
He's 10 feet off the ground.
The film takes place at the turn of the century, the 19th into the 20th century, that is. America is growing westward, and a great political battle is brewing. Vying for the presidency was Republican challenger Benjamin Harrison, who, and you can't make this stuff up, wanted high tariffs to shield American industries from foreign competition. Opposing him was incumbent Democrat Grover Cleveland, who believed that high tariffs unfairly benefited big businesses and hurt consumers by keeping prices high. And you thought the 1880s and 2020s had nothing in common. I think this was the Sherman Brothers at their best. Okay, it's not better than Mary Poppins, but I would say it's better than Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which my wife loves and will hate that I said that, but there it is. It's more adult. Obviously, the themes are more complicated, but it explores them without weighing down the movie. And there are a few really nice Disneyland record releases for this film. The Storyteller and Second Cast albums are both solid, with the Storyteller using songs from the Second Cast album, rather than from the film itself. While that usually wouldn't be my first choice, this Second Cast album was so well done that it really doesn't bother me. As Richard Sherman recalled, I think Tootie went to England to record that one, where he could really spend some money on it. He loved it, and he really did some great stuff on it. Tootie being Tootie Camarada, Disney's longtime music man. The result was an album with rich orchestrations and vivid performances, especially for a budget release. The Second Cast includes 2 members of Disney's Mellow Men Barbershop Quartet, in Gene Merlino and Bill Lee, with Merlino's towering rendition of Dakota perhaps outshining John Davidson's version from the film.
Where the roots grow deep and the winds blow clean, where the air is sweet and the summer's green, where virgin fields await the plow, a great tomorrow is dawning now. Dakota, Dakota, where a man stands tall. Dakota, Dakota, where there's...
The real star of the show, though, is the original cast soundtrack. Featuring all of the songs from the film, produced from the original masters, this is the one everyone should have access to. Unfortunately, that is easier said than done. My restored version of the album is blocked here on YouTube, and honestly, I don't know why. The album has never seen a digital release, and why Disney would prefer to bury this album is beyond me. Leslie Ann Warren is an absolute joy, and this eye roll is one of the greatest in cinema history. Her duet with John Davidson on 'Bout Time shows that you don't need to know anything about being in love to trust that it's going to be great. Davidson and Warren had already starred together in The Happiest Millionaire, another Sherman Brothers classic, and I think that really helped with their chemistry. But if I'm picking my favorite song from the film, it's the rollicking West o' the Wide, Missouri. The dance scene is amazing, and it's just the song that gets stuck in my head the easiest.
West of the wide Missouri. West of the wide Missouri. West of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri. You'll work all day till the sun goes down. West of the wide Missouri. But everybody comes to town. West of the wide Missouri. Oh, down music starts to play. You will play up till the break of day. Then it's back to stacking hay. Then it's back to stacking hay. West of the wide
You can find a scattering of these original songs on a variety of different best of Disney recordings, and Louis Armstrong re-recorded 2 of the songs for his album, Disney Songs The Satchmo Way. And while you may not be able to listen to the original cast soundtrack, I will put links to both the Storyteller and second cast album in the description below, as both are a worthy substitute. Okay, spoiler alert. Harrison wins the election in one of the first ever examples of a presidential candidate winning the Electoral College, but not the popular vote. The Dakota Territory gets split into the 2 Dakota states, with Montana and Washington also achieving statehood. And the family band marches on, plus one soon-to-be son-in-law. Does any of this happen in the original book? I don't know. You might have to find that out for yourself.
Bob and I, my brother Bob and I, we write everything together. We just sat in a room, had a good time, and wrote a real smash arrow opener, you know, just a big, bright, brassy thing. And we played that for Walt, I remember that. He loved the music. I mean, all he ever heard was me playing and singing the songs at the piano. And he wanted to hear what a band would sound like, what the family band would sound. So Jack Elliott, the musical director, put together a series of wonderful demonstrations with a full band orchestra and singers, the whole thing. And it was all set to be recorded, but Walt died just before.
We were all terribly sad that Walt Disney had passed away.
It's like the head of a family dies, and everybody wants to carry on and do the best they can and keep it the way it should be and the way they felt it should be. But the studio wasn't the same. There was that spark, that incredible leader who made everybody do better than they ever dreamed they could do. It wasn't there. Bob and I felt very strongly about this project, this particular picture, because of the fact it was his last creative input picture. He came up with wonderful creative suggestions, and then we bounce everything off of Walt. So this is truly Walt's picture, even though he had died and it didn't get released till like a year and a half after his death.
It's unfortunate that one of the last films that Walt Disney actually worked on before his passing has been shuffled so far back into the library as to go almost unnoticed these days. If you are a fan of classic Hollywood musicals, or just a fan of the Sherman Brothers, I really do think you will enjoy this film. You won't find it on Disney Plus, unfortunately, but you can rent or purchase it through sites like Apple and Amazon, and there is a decent DVD release floating around out there as well. In large part to the success of my previous video about Robin Hood, I have a feeling there are a lot of new faces here today. I honestly can't thank you enough for watching these videos. Once Upon a Record has been a passion project from the very beginning, and I'm delighted that so many others share my love of classic Disney entertainment. To say that I have more videos lined up, well, let's just say I'm excited to show you what comes next. If that piques your curiosity, I hope you'll consider subscribing. So until next time, my name is Jay. Thanks for watching.